Hi everyone, hello and welcome back to the podcast Monday Positivity. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with a truly inspiring guest, Jaya. She's a spiritual mentor, speaker, author, soul stylist, and professional soul connector, as well as the host of her own podcast, Soul Conversation, empowered by Yaya. She has an incredible life journey, starting with her early years in Pune, India, and her adoption to Sweden at just a few months old. Growing up in Stockholm, she faced early wounds of abandonment and rejection that she would later uncover and heal as part of a profound spiritual awakening. For over 2 decades, she worked in the hospitality industry where she honed her understanding of people's energy and behavior. In 2017, she changed paths, driven by her own transformative questions around purpose. She embraced her calling as a soul stylist, empowering her clients to align their outer expression with their inner essence. Her mission is to help people heal past trauma, balance their masculine and feminine energies, and embody their true selves. She guides others on the journey toward inner peace, joy, and empowerment by drawing on her own extensive healing experiences and insights as an empath. In today's episode, we explore some powerful topics with her, including healing abandonment wounds, integrating masculine and feminine energies, and reconnecting with our hearts through body based practices like dance. She also shares her insights on the twin flame journey and what it means to balance our inner energies. I can't wait for you to hear her wisdom and stories because I truly enjoyed the conversation and we spoke a lot on different subjects even after the recording. Let's welcome her to the show and enjoy her wisdom. Okay, so let's start by letting our viewers and listeners know something about yourself and your line of work.
Absolutely. So my name is Jaya and I live in Stockholm, Sweden, but I was born in India. And I have two beautiful wise children that I have every other week. And for me, my work is all about spirituality and growth and healing and expansion, I would say. The more I have done my own work, the more I remember who I am. So, and a lot of my wisdom comes from like my past lives, but also being part of my heart is really beating for being an Indian woman. I was supposed to be in Sweden for so many reasons, but I feel more and more that my heart belongs to India. That's a little bit of myself. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually was intrigued when I read your bio because you said that you felt in a survival mode from a young
Yeah.
age. So could you
Yeah.
touch upon that a bit? Like how did it impact your life? And how did you
Absolutely.
actually realize that you are living in a survival mode?
I think because I was born in India in Pune, and I came here. I was adopted when I was 2.5 months. That's when I came to Sweden. But and my weight was under 2 kilos. So the fact that I even survived is for me, I have kind of put that into a strength because I'm very much into solution mode all the time. But I think when I came here as a baby and most of my life, I closed kind of my heart and the trauma of abandonment and survival mode from being born in India and still don't know my biological parents. So I kind of closed that door. That's how I kind of envision it. And then I started to live here. But what I have noticed the last 10 years, I think it is, or 14 years since I awakened, is that when it comes to money, relationships, the way I have perceived myself has been on a very deep survival mode. So it's like a deep reaction wound where I have also ended relationship if someone come too close to me, or when I grow up as a child, I never felt understood or seen and heard as just being me.
Yeah.
So I love to be in my own space, but I also have never had a problem to actually, end relationship and move on. And I think that is very much instead of being reacted.
Yeah.
I have been the one, moving forward. So I think I noticed it when I was a child, but I wasn't conscious aware of it.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense. For me, it makes sense. But I truly believe we all come from one wound collectively, and that is the abandonment wound. But we have different stories.
Mhm.
But then we are being raised, but we constantly abandon ourselves in not speaking our truth, not setting boundaries. It could be religious, it could be not religious, like it doesn't matter. But
Mhm.
I do believe we all come from like a core wound, humanity, which is abandonment and reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, and let us also now talk about feminine and masculine energies. It's a
Yeah.
pretty interesting concept. So for yeah, for somebody, who doesn't know what these terms
Mm.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can explain it like this: that polarity is is all about the opposites. For example, day and night,
Mhm.
sun and moon. We all have feminine and masculine energies within us. So very like simple explained, like masculine energy is about the purpose, the direction, if you feel confident to take action, to
Mhm.
make something move forward, um, contraction. And the feminine energy is more about being, to visualize, to expand, and to flow and emotions. And we need both. Because if we only live from, the feminine energy and not much and not taking any action, we will most probably be stuck.
Right.
And if we are too much in the masculine energy and lead from doing, and also putting on like the worth, feeling that you're only worthy if you are in this constant energy of doing and performing
Mhm.
without just being and relaxing and to receive more, it's unbalanced. And I would say humanity has been a lot in the masculine energy
Mhm.
within,
Yeah.
and now we start to balance that, like
Right.
on earth, but also within ourselves. That's what's going on right now, I would say.
Mhm. Okay. And actually, going back to our previous question, because
Yeah.
something just suddenly popped in my head.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
did you manage to come out of that survival mode? Like I
Oh,
understand. Yeah.
it's been a journey. I believe that we all have different ways of being aware and starting our inner journey.
Mhm.
And everyone, for me, it's been that I've always been a seeker, I believe. And I was 8, 9 years when I kind of knew my purpose, that I was going to make an impact for a lot of like with, I would say, but also for a lot of people from a stage. I just didn't know how, but
Mhm.
that was something I kind of knew within me, like an inner knowing. And I think it was when my daughter was born. she mirrored back her wisdom, and I was like, oh my God, this is strong. This is a lot. She has a depth within her that I was afraid of, because I didn't dare to look within me, but I had to, because she was pushing me energetically. And this is 14 years ago. So I would say step by step, I started to like question if I was happy, because I was living a lot from other people's expectations. And the only thing I was really looking for was love outside of myself. But I didn't find, and I had 2 children. Like, I had a family I was longing for, but I wasn't happy. And this has nothing to do with the children. I just want to say it out loud. It has nothing to do with my ex-husband as well. But I felt unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And step by step, I started to kind of attract in people who were already further ahead in the personal development journey and self-discovery journey. And, I started to be introduced to some people, and it started to resonate with me. And then I started to apply it in taking action and doing like the mindset work, not just reading something, but actually applying it.
Right.
So that's kind of where I started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Step by step. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And now let's also talk about the role of masculine and feminine energies in one's
Yeah.
personal healing. Yeah.
So for how I also guide my clients, and what I truly believe is that every single human has so much wisdom and knowledge already within them. But when we don't trust ourselves, and we think that we need a lot of information from the outside of ourselves, and we are not starting to reflect and balancing that, because of course we can learn a lot. You can learn, you could go to university and so on and learn a lot. But what I found when I talked to a lot of people is, if they have integrated that knowledge into their bodies, like balancing the feminine and masculine energy. So you could take a lot of action in bringing in knowledge, but then to integrate it, which is asking the more question like, who am I? What do I want? What do I truly want?
Mm-hmm.
And if something feels off, or if there is an emotion of anxiety or doubts or something, to start to work with like the mind, the soul, the heart, and the central energy, like to really go feel it and heal it. That's what to expand. So if you're very much in a masculine energy and not so much in a feminine energy, as a woman, for example, it could show up in like a discomfort within, that you only feel worthy if you are constantly being in control of doing. But the energy within you will say, no, pause. Like, that's
Right.
why so many people burn out. So we
Right.
need the balance, like we need both.
Mm-hmm.
And I was introduced to like the concept of it a couple of years ago, but when I started to work and heal and do the inner work, it was like, but this is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this information within me.
Right.
So, for example, a child, let's go there, is pretty much playful, curious, ask a lot of questions, wants to know a lot of things and try. So when a child start to crawl, I mean, they don't give up. They continue until they start to walk, and they might fail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that word, but they go up again. They
Right.
do that constantly until they're walking. So why aren't more like grown up humans doing the same?
Mhm.
Because if you think about it, only believe from a conscious level that um, the only way to do things is to be in the doing all the
Mhm.
time. But something within you feels like, no, I want to be, I want to explore, I want to have fun. I mean, we are here to have fun as well, not just
Right.
being in the survival mode, and also allowing ourselves that. It starts with by doing it on a daily basis. For me, it is guiding my clients into dancing.
Mhm.
Here, I mean, in India, I don't know now, but I mean, the dance, for me, the dance, the way I dance, it's the Indian way of dancing without knowing like
Mhm.
a lot of it, but it feels like it's not the Western way I do it.
Right. And even I feel like, dancing sort of is, liberation. Like, when you
Yeah,
dance. Yeah.
exactly. And and that is with the feminine and masculine. Um, it is a dance
Yeah.
because we
Right.
need both. And
Right.
there is no right or wrong. And I would like, it's so easy for kind of all of us almost to be in more one energy, which has been the masculine energy, because that's what we've been taught for generation and generation and generation.
Mhm. Right.
But if you go back, and especially in India, if you think about the goddesses and everything, and I'm named after one of them, it's like, no, the power, like the sovereign, the divine feminine power, it's from within. And it is to really have the inner knowing and speaking your truth. And we all
Right.
have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this answered the question, but
Yeah, it does actually. And I'm
yeah,
actually getting, a lot of answers that I'm not even asking, but I had
yeah,
it in my mind. And I do
yeah,
believe, like, every time I interact with a guest on a podcast, I don't know, like it's a way of the universe, to give me some answers.
yeah,
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about, like you said that, you guide your clients in inner child healing also,
yeah, I
right?
do. So this is also something that the information and the knowledge has just kind of like a download. Like I just have it within me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a certificate or anything about that when it comes to healing and going into depths and hold a safe space, because I already have this information within me. So for me, it is basically the mindset, because we have to be aware. But then after that, it is about emotional regulation for me to guide them into that, because so many of my clients haven't been allowed to cry or to show emotions when they grew up. I wasn't allowed to feel safe expressing my emotions. I was criticized a lot, and then I didn't say much because I didn't feel, why should I? So I work with the chakra system, and also for my clients to start to speak the truth, to use their throat chakra, and then to open up and guide them to their inner child and kind of rewire the,
Yeah, yeah.
like when you,
Neuro patterns,
thank you,
neuroplasticity. Yeah.
exactly. um and we also go pretty deep into mother and father wound, because when we were a child, back when we were born, even the circumstances we had, we were already perfect as we were whole.
Mhm.
But then the separation started with whatever that was in everyone's life. And it could also be that someone's mother or father had their generational trauma and things they've been experiencing, and then they're passing on that energy on the child, even when the child is in the womb. And for me, it is to go back to the root causes and create a new way of actually liberating the inner child, if that makes sense, and then move on. Because I don't believe in being in the wound, like the
Yeah.
trauma wound over. I don't believe in that, but I truly believe of going back to the core, like the root cause or the core source of what you actually are feeling, and then to release that, to be able to move on and expand your heart and soul and everything. So that is kind of what I do, but I intuitively always tap into my clients' energy and what they need. So it's never about me, even if I share my wisdom. That's why I say I'm a spiritual mentor and I guide
Mhm.
my clients. I'm not a coach,
Right.
uh, because I believe they have all the answers within
Mhm.
them. But I'm just tapping into their energy and knows how to guide them. It just comes to me intuitively,
Okay.
and I love
And
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And like you said, every, like, whatever we need is within our souls, within the heart of the client.
yeah,
What practices would you suggest? Like if somebody wants to, tap into that inner wisdom or they want to
yeah.
connect with their own truth.
Dance is a good start. Like to look yourself in the mirror doing it and
Yeah.
saying kind things about yourself to yourself in the mirror. And it could be really awkward, and it could feel that, oh, I don't know anything nice to say in the beginning, and that's
Mhm.
fine. If you don't know, ask someone else. Okay, what do you like about me? What do I like contribute to your life? And someone else can say it.
Right.
That's one way of doing it. But then after saying kind things every morning, or every night, or when it feels that, because to make a like a habit, we need to do it repeatedly, but I don't want to force you to do it either, so it have to feel a little bit the line that you're doing it, but then to dance in front of the mirror, so you're dancing with yourself, which
Right.
also feels like awkward.
Yeah. And I actually,
But
did this exercise, like talking to yourself in the mirror. And when I
yeah,
actually started doing it, like in the beginning, I seriously like realized, I had a very distorted view of myself.
yeah,
Like I didn't want to, say those things to myself. And then I sort of had to change my perception
yeah,
around me. Yeah. So I think, that's a
yeah.
powerful
And like you
exercise.
say, Pearl, it's also when you felt that distortion, did you feel something in your body
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you, yeah. So that
Yeah.
is the next thing, to acknowledge that, oh, something, where in the body is the discomfort. It's
Mhm.
only energy. Nothing
Right.
is bad or wrong, and it's nothing wrong with anyone.
Mhm.
It's just dense energy that needs to be released. It's kind of very simple, but it's not so easy to do the journey.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah, that is so true.
because
I'm gonna
if
explore it further.
yeah,
Yeah.
because if you explore it and breathe it out, the energy, the more dense energy that leave your body, the easier it is to tap, like to reconnect with your heart and expand the
Mhm.
heart coherence.
Right.
It is, but we need practice, like
Yeah.
practice,
Right.
practice. Yeah.
Okay. And since you said that, you are a spiritual mentor, right?
Mm.
How do you help your clients integrate spirituality into their daily lives?
Everyone is different what they need, but I would say the two questions that I mentioned before, like what do you want, what do you truly want, and what do you need? And what you truly want, to set the intention in the morning, how
Mhm.
you would like to feel, for example. Because so many times it could be you have like a to-do list with things you're going to do, but how would you like to feel when you're doing it?
Mhm.
Because you have negative thoughts about it,
Right.
you are not in alignment. So that's where the separation comes with the feminine and the masculine. Like it's not balancing. So what you truly want, and to really be reflective and intentional about it, and then take pauses during the day. This is what I guide clients when they are in the beginning of, reconnecting with their heart, and stop being so much in their mind and their thoughts, and truly start to pause more during the
Mhm.
day. So it could also be to take, a couple of pauses during the day to deep breathe, or go outside. I mean, the best way is if you can go outside to the nature, like be in the nature. But if you can't, you could deep breathe wherever you are, because the more you open up to that, you could actually close your eyes, and no matter how many people or noise, or you can start to reconnect to something within you, like your
Mhm.
own source. So that
Right.
is, I'm all in for the small steps
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
beginning, because
Right.
everyone has busy life. Yeah,
Right. And they are like small yet powerful steps.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are.
Okay. And what advice would you have for those who are beginning their healing journey and maybe, they are struggling with self acceptance?
Mm, I actually have one exercise that comes to me now, is to sit down and write down with pen and paper all the traits and emotions, or that you actually like about yourself. And even if there is like two things, you could just in the beginning, like I said to you, ask someone else, ask your friends or family, so you could start to build and create that list, just to be aware of. It could be like this: they can ask someone else, how do I make you feel? But the thing is, if you are on a very like negative vibration, it could also be an answer that you don't like. So I think you have to be very intentional of asking a question, so you get the positive, you get the empowering answer back. Because the negative, like the low vibration of thoughts and all of that, we are so good of having this critical like inner voice anyhow.
Yeah.
So to really ask someone, how do I make you feel? How do I make you happy? Maybe
Mhm.
that.
Right.
And see what the other person say, and then write it down. So have like a journal or something, that where you write down actually good stuff about yourself, and
Mhm.
journaling about what's happening. Because the more you also see your own patterns, how your thoughts are repeating, like the same repeatedly, thoughts you have, or emotions or something, the more you could start to self discover where your patterns. It's just old stories.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
So I would
But
say journaling. Yeah.
right. But like, like you said, I can ask somebody, how do I make you feel? Right. But at the same time, sometimes we talk about like, uh, I'm not responsible for how you feel because some people, yeah, I mean, I have had many people in the past where, they want me to behave in a certain way, do certain
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
then obviously, if I want to do something else, so, they tell you that, okay, because of you, I don't feel good in society. Or if you follow, so maybe you're trying to follow your passion, but it is going to hurt somebody,
Yeah.
right? As a child, specifically, like,
Yes.
so how do you deal with that?
You're right. It's like this. Let's see. And this is interesting, because now it's very much, in the knowing, like in the now, in the present. So, because it could also be a negative, if I would
Yeah.
ask you, and you say like, yeah, you make me feel not seen or heard or appreciated.
Right.
I mean, that's your perception of the energy that I send out.
Right.
That's all. You know what I mean? But if I am in a defensive, like I can't receive that and
Mhm.
take, accountability for that and see what's true or not, and so on, what resonates with me, then I would most probably attack you back, like
Right.
going, yeah, and defense myself. So let's see. Okay, you could instead write down what makes you happy,
Mhm.
like what lifts you up. And it could be, for me, my meditation is also going and picking flowers in the summer
Mhm. Right.
without my phone, I would add.
Mhm.
And to just be in the, in the nature and picking flowers and being with my thoughts
Mhm.
and letting them, be whatever they. So if if you start to do more of what you actually like and love and write it down, you kind of have like a list of things that is very passionate for you. And even if your family doesn't, they might have a different, not agenda, but a different perspective and view of what you should do and so on. I believe because it's so different to everyone,
Mhm.
but to surround yourself, if it's possible, and if it is possible, you just need one person
Mhm.
with someone who's on the same journey of self-discovery, because then you have someone to you also talk to,
Right.
that you can like you can empower each other
Right.
when they come in. I don't know if this, but I think,
Yeah, yeah. But it actually makes, perfect sense. Like you said earlier
yeah,
also, that, if I'm asking somebody the question, like, how do I make you feel? I should
yeah,
be in a place where, I can also understand if they don't have anything good to say, at least I should be accountable to some extent that, okay, maybe it is, their perception or they are getting, that energy from me and not take it personally,
no,
I
exactly,
guess.
like
Yeah.
information, which is not so
Right.
easy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not so easy, but if we could more see it as information for ourselves to evolve and expand and grow,
Mhm.
um then, like you say, we don't take it that personal.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And I think we take it personal because if we go back in time, once or more than once, we have been abandoned. So the inner
Right.
child is kind of screaming out, "No, don't abandon me!" If you
Yeah.
get criticized and you aren't conscious aware yet about it.
Right. Right. And like you
And
said, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
yeah, no, continue,
No, no,
continue.
you were saying something.
Yeah, I was just thinking about something else that you could do, and that when you're asking, for example, for advice or something, because most of the time we have all the answer within us. But
Right.
when we don't trust ourselves, we could ask others about advices. You have to be aware of who you ask advice
Mhm.
from. So it is someone where you can feel safe in your body and to not be judged back,
Mhm. Right.
where you maybe it's you just need to express what your thoughts, your ideas.
Right.
And for the others, like, can you hold space? I just need to say it out loud. Or I would like you to reflect on and give me your thoughts, even
Mhm.
if that is something you want to act upon, but to really be concerned, like who you ask for advice. That is something that I have learned the hard way. Oh my
Right.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And I also wanted to ask you one more question
Yeah.
uh, regarding twin flames, because I've learned,
Yeah.
I mean, I've read a lot about, twin flames, twin flame journey, and all of that.
Yeah.
And you also said that, you whenever you're asking somebody's advice, or even if you're asking the question or something, it should be like somebody who is on the same frequency, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what is the truth behind, twin flame relationships? Or what does this term actually mean?
Yeah. And this is from my perception and my experience. So
Mhm.
someone else can have something else to say. But if with everything we talked about, I dived pretty deep this morning about quantum and
Yeah,
thank you.
quantum
Yeah.
entanglement.
And that is exactly what the twin flame relationship is
Mhm.
about. That every mother's like it doesn't matter about time or distance, since
Mhm.
everything is energy. The universe is energy, it's an electromagnetic field, the whole universe. We are energies, like spiritual beings, energies. Everything is moving constantly. So, with that said, with twin flames, when I met mine, it was a instant soul recognition
Mhm.
uh, that was very intense, but also very safe. Like a remembering, a mirroring of my own soul.
Mhm.
And I didn't know this, but I felt it. He didn't
Right.
know about twin flame, but he felt it. So I would say twin flames are like what I feel with him is that we have one soul split it into two bodies, but we share the same frequency of energy, like the energy blueprint or and the same soul.
Mhm.
So when I do my healing work, I instantly heal him and the other way around because
Mhm.
we are sharing the same energy. It's not about the romance. It is about the purpose and mission. Because if you think about it, for me, we are all whole. I believe in oneness, and I believe that every single person on this planet are coming from the divine source of love. That's what I truly believe. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter religion or whatever, but it's divine source of love. That's how I see it. And if we are whole within,
Mhm.
even if we don't feel like we are, but we are, it's more to remembering who we are and coming back to ourselves, to our
Mhm.
own truth and our own wholeness. So with twin flames, it's so intense. So we're mirroring everything. So if you can, I mean, you know what is going on in the world. It's a lot of energies and it's a lot
Yeah.
of fear and so on. So when I met him, it was like he he was a catalyst and I was a catalyst to him in all possible fears you can imagine that you have within you. So it was like, oh my God, this is very intense. So that's why he needed to individually heal and do his. It's called twin flame separation. And I did on my end and are doing, of course. But what we have done, both of us, we have always come back to each other constantly
Mhm.
because the more I expanded my heart and know like this is what I need to heal,
Mhm.
taking full responsibility. And he has done the same.
You're both doing your own healings and you
Exactly,
come back.
individual to be able to physically reunite. So for us, we've been separated physically since we met 3.5 years ago. When I think about him, it's telepathic. Our relationship is telepathic. So he could just call me if I think about him, or we meet when we're dreaming during the night. Like it's, he explained it. I have never unfelt the relationship or like the bond we have from the day we connected, and we connected through Facebook and
Mhm.
Messenger.
Right.
Uh, and I agree. But it's been a journey of our journey has been like a Hollywood movie, and we'll see. I'm actually going to write a book about it, I think. But it's been a lot. Like everything on in what's going on the world right now, we've been through a lot of corruption and death, and yeah, it's been intense. saying the
Mhm.
least. And that
Right.
is it's a purpose with it, because the purpose is to live from a high state of consciousness in the 5 dimensional, which is about unconditional love and joy and ease and inner peace and compassion and kindness. And unconditional love is without any conditions. So it's actually without having a relationship, spiritual relationship, without having attachment, expectations, and judgments.
Mhm.
It's been a journey, I would say,
Right. But
at
do you
least.
think like everybody has a twin flame, or is it like?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I was asking myself that question this morning. Since I believe in that everyone is here being a human being, like no one is superior one another.
Mhm.
I do believe everyone has one. There is different views on it.
Yeah.
But what I do believe is being on earth now, depending on the soul contract from past life, it could also be that not everyone is supposed to meet the twin flame love now on earth.
Mhm.
But I
Right.
but I do believe that everyone has one. Why shouldn't? Like for me, it's like why shouldn't just some have and some not? Then it's once again separation.
Right. But yeah, that
Yeah,
actually, makes perfect sense. Like you said, the soul contracts. Maybe the soul
yeah,
is not ready. Maybe they have decided to do something else in this life.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing wrong
Right.
with a soulmate. A soulmate is just a little bit different energetically,
Right.
but it's also, and for me, a soulmate, you grow together. You
Mhm.
learn by each other, like physically, I would say, as well,
Right.
and mentally and spiritual. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how I believe that depending on the soul contract and how mature your soul is, so why you're here, basically,
Mhm.
this time around on earth, then it's just based on that, I think. But many twin flame never reunite, I mean physically, because the ego is keeping them trapped in expectation, attachment, judgment, blaming, and all of that. So I'm very fortunate, like that my love Christian is so like the level of expansion of his heart and his truth, and he's where I'm at, which i
Mhm.
i honor him for,
Right.
because yeah,
And I
so
think
we'll
like,
see.
yeah, yes, because I had read about, twin flame
Yeah,
concept in 2020,
yeah,
the first time. And I had been,
yeah,
reading about it since. But today, actually, to be very honest, I got
yeah,
the clear cut answer that yes, not every, maybe, the soul is ready. Because even I
no,
couldn't digest it like, okay, maybe I have a twin flame, this other person
yeah,
doesn't have what they have, I don't. But yeah, it makes total sense. Uh,
yeah. And you
yeah.
like feel you I have the question, like how did you know? It's so instant and so deep, so you just know. That's
Right.
and that's what I've heard from the ones who have their twin flames in their love, like in their life. And but I truly believe with when it comes to love and finding the significant one out there,
Mhm.
the more work you do within yourself. That's what I did. I started to unfold the woman and the person I wanted to attract in. That's it.
Mhm. Right.
uh, with the mental, emotionally, spiritually, and physically in my body. And
Mhm.
that's when he came into my life. And that was 2021. And you said you were reading about it 2020. That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah,
But that's why, like I told you, it's every time, I don't do guest podcasts regularly. It's just a
yeah,
nudge. I just feel
yeah,
like I need to, post it or invite somebody, talk to someone.
yeah,
And I try to, because earlier, I used to wake up at 3 a.m. also to do the
yeah,
podcasting. which I didn't like. So now, as I
No.
meditate and all that, I don't try to push myself. I'm like, okay, let me just follow, what I feel is
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I love that.
right. And I also, I'm not trying to, force all the answers, like the twin flame thing also. It's been how
No.
many, like 4 years, right? And I just
Yeah,
stopped reading about it. I was like, okay, whenever I'm supposed to understand something that clicks. And
yeah,
today I think,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, and then you're balancing the feminine and masculine because you're listening to what you need.
right,
You are, since you're like, I'm not going to force it. I love that you said that. Because when
mhm,
we force something, it's not in alignment.
right, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So during, like in when Corona started, I don't know. Yeah, then I had, many questions. Like suddenly,
Yeah.
there is this pandemic. First time we are experiencing something. So I, started asking my husband also, what have been like, is there something you want to do in your life?
Mm.
And I don't know. I also feel like, all souls are on different journeys, even if it is your significant other.
Yeah.
And I used to feel like, okay, my parents should also think the way I think. My sister should also think the way I think. But then at one point, I realized that just focus on your own journey because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's of no use.
I was
You
I was having the same thoughts back then as well. I was like, can't more people wake up? Come on, come on. And now we have a respect. Like I don't even know sometimes they understand what I'm talking about, but they respect me being me. And I respect them being them. Like it's
right,
just which is
yeah,
beautiful. It's not
right,
my I can't convince someone. That's not good. Like that's not
right. And it's also not our job, right? Earlier, I used to
no.
feel like, okay, no, I have to tell her something. But now I'm
Yeah.
like, it's okay. Whenever it's their time, they will
Yeah.
know. Maybe
Yeah.
not in this lifetime. Who knows? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
Tell our listeners who are listening on Spotify or maybe, viewers and listeners who are listening to us on YouTube
Yeah.
about like your services. And if they want to connect with you, what can they expect? What can you help them with? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So the best way to contact me is to send me a message. Like on Instagram, I have links, so you could just send me a message there, or on Facebook, on Messenger. And what I do have as offerings right now, it's one to one, and it's also I have my podcast, but in terms of services, it's one to one guidance. And then there is a lot of stuff in making, but that is for next year to come and what's supposed to unfold. But the way I have structured it is 3 months or 6 months. 3 months is more if someone is want to make sure if I'm the right fit, and so on. But I always start with a free kind of soul discovery call just to see where that person is and if it's aligned energetically, because that's super important. And then 6 months, then we can go, further, deeper. But I have something which is the one-to-one clients needs for me to already be awakened and have started their mindset journey, like the self-discovery journey. That's important. So if they haven't awakened, the one-to-one service is not for me, but I would love them for listening to the podcast, Soul Conversation. But that is something that I need my clients that I attracting to already be at that kind of level of consciousness.
Mhm.
I would. Mm. But I
Right.
have my podcast, so
Yeah. And
that's
I will, paste, I will put all the links in the
yeah,
description box below this video. So if anybody wants to connect with you, they can, connect
yeah,
using those links.
absolutely.
And it was lovely connecting with you. I mean, like usually I do 40 minutes episode, but today I felt like, I need to connect again
Mm.
because I didn't want to leave the conversation in
No,
between. And it, rarely happens. I mean, but I really, like your energy.
Yeah, the
And
same.